Yes! I could not stop doing that. But hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Songs and Sorcery. It is I, your host Leonok, and I am excited to be here finally doing another video, another recording, and I can't say I'm excited, I say it all the time. I'm very excited for a number of reasons, but no. It is because, I am in this, springtime has sprung, as have I, and it's a lot of things. So I know my hair looks a little bit different. It's fighting me right now, trying to blind me. So I'm having a fight with my hair. So, no, I did not straighten it, but honestly, no. I would so do that. No. But no, I am so happy because I have my shaker here. I will not be doing a song, but I did do an opening shake for this episode. Now, it does feel a little bit dry starting off. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I haven't done this in quite some time. It's been about 2 weeks. I tried to sort of, I would have to do weekly, but things always happen. We have things like work. I have other things I have to attend to. But the reason why I am excited is because I finally have a tribute for the Horde. I have recently acquired a actually that sounds kind of weird. No, I recently come into contact with a person I've spoken to for some time. She's a very cool individual, and she sort of dabbles in the circle. So we might have an in-person guest. Oh, I'm so excited! Now, will I be doing it here? I don't know. I have to sort of, cover the specifics with my caretakers. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm honestly excited about it. She's excited about it. You know who you are if you're watching this. And so we're going to be talking about a huge array of subjects. It's going to be probably maybe an hour or perhaps more of an interview. So it's going to be one of those again. Yes, so she'll be like it. It's going to be covering a myriad of things from, things like their origins, the type of craft they do, their opinions on current matters when it comes to the occult, things like religion, beliefs, or anything else, the use of certain materials or catalysts, and how long they've been doing it, how they feel about this sort of thing, and the culture that's been impacted by it so far. So that is pretty much what I'm going to be talking about for that sort of interview. So stay tuned. I'm really excited about it. Now, let me adjust this camera. I feel as though it cannot grasp all of my glory. Oh, that's a good angle, actually. No, I have to compose myself, honestly. That's not bad. I actually quite like it. So, first things first, I want to sort of congratulate everyone who's here. You survived another week in this shithole we call a planet for the time being. However, I can always see a brighter side. Will it happen? I know not, but you know what? I'm looking forward to it. Spring is here, as I've mentioned before, and I know there's a certain type of thing we do in the spring. Forgive me if I'm not sort of up on all my occult celebrations. Pagan celebrations, actually. I think it was Beltane or Beltane or whatever you want to call it. It's something that sort of happens, yearly thing. I can't say okay, there's sort of a general understanding of what a pagan is and what we sort of talk about pagans, so the dictionary definition of a pagan, I'll probably put it here, is essentially any sort of belief that sort of falls out of the mainstream belief core system of values, like Christianity, for example. Any other religion that's not Christianity, or that's, I guess, not a sort of forefront or mainstream religion or belief system is going to be labeled as something pagan. Now, pagan is mostly a term that, for the most part, the, Abrahamic faith sort of used to sort of denounce, but to call other sort of faiths that were not their own. But in our circles, pagans mostly pertain to the type of individuals that sort of dedicate themselves and worship older gods or gods that aren't the mainstream sort of things that we see. It's not someone that's Hindu. It's not someone that's Muslim. That's Christian. That's anything else. It sort of mostly calls to mind the old, what you call perhaps heretical, or it's like the older gods, things like, like the pantheons of ancient civilizations, whether it's Mayan, Aztec, Mesoamerican, whether it's Mediterranean, things like Greece, things like Rome, or even things like the Egyptian gods, for example, can be somewhat considered pagan, but they don't have that same flavor, even though they technically are pagan. And as well as the cult, like the Celtic pantheon as well, even the Norse. So the people that are pagans are sort of those type of people. Nothing wrong with it. And if you're the practitioner sort of, uses or perhaps partners or works with those sort of spiritual energies for your workings, um, you are technically, I guess, a pagan practitioner, but you are not solely pagan. You can be perhaps a witch of some kind that sort of works with these spirits for whatever, but a pagan is mostly understood to be perhaps a direct follower or a worshiper of these said entities, like deities or energies. So that's sort of the rough explanation I can sort of give you when it comes to this, definition for paganism. But it should be on the screen right here for all of you guys to sort of see. Just for everyone to sort of get the things in mind, because people have this general idea as to what paganism is, what it offers. But honestly, just like any other spirit, it can be, either advantageous or, not for the, parties involved. So there's that we have to consider when we're thinking about pagans. So I also want to give a huge shout out to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day. Kisses from Leonog. Wonderful blessings from Songs and Sorcery. To all the lovely mothers out there, including my own, thank you so much for your effort, for your sacrifice. They are not unnoticed. People know what you go through. And for the ones that don't, understand that, at least on this channel, I appreciate you deeply. Because if it weren't for you, I would have those gorgeous boys to look at. It is what it is, people. We have to be thankful for that. And I am very thankful. So, there's that to go. I look like I sound like a whore, but no. So seriously, though, I just like doing this. Let's give you a big round of applause. Let's go, everyone. Clap for yourselves, clap for your mother, and clap those cheeks. No, I'm sorry. Wow, where am I going? Oh, but I would be remiss, of course, without also introducing my brilliant and lovely co-host, Gurimi. Hello, Gurimi. How are you today? You look marvelous, Gurimi. What did you do? No, stop. Oh my God, Grimmy. The gossip. We can't talk about that. No. Uh-huh. Yes. Oh, you have a subject for us today. Do you, Grimmy? Haven't heard it before. Uh-huh. Interesting. I guess I could talk about that. I mean, do people really consider it oh, hold on. You were upset? I'm so sorry. You were seeing his ass. I'm so sorry. Do you feel offended, Grimmy? No. Oh, Grimmy. Stop it. But no, you want to talk about that? Yes. Uh-huh. Mm. Okay. I'll take your leave then. Thank you so much, Grimmy. So, today we're going to be talking about something that some people might not really consider magic, but it absolutely is, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so there are many different crafts within the witchcraft community. You have things like witchcraft, you have spellcraft, you have, things like herb craft or plant craft. You have your woodcraft, your woodcraft. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm so. No, we we have many types of crafts. Many releases. We have things like crystal craft. That's what I call them, crystal crafts. If you work with crystals, it's a crystal craft. Woodcraft, puppet craft, thread craft, no craft, aircraft, love craft. I don't know what's wrong with me. That was kind of cringe, but you know what? It is what it is now. But today I'm going to be talking about something that I think we need to sort of hear as practitioners, as followers of magic, because something that's very essential to the craft in many of our walks of life is the word. And so today's lesson or discussion shall be on the subject of speechcraft. Speechcraft. Now, speechcraft is probably a term I coined myself. Be free to use it. Just know where it came from. Speechcraft is, well, in many circles, okay, speechcraft is essentially the ability to use the spoken word in a working. Okay, it's using the words for your benefit, the words to, get the results you want. And it's something that has been used in nearly every type of craft, or at least branch of the craft, since time immemorial. And honestly, there is a specific word for this. But the one I'm going to be talking about specifically will be referred to as the silver tongue. Yes, or otherwise known as the moonglint serpent, the language of the moonglint serpent. That one sort of the the sort of the thing where I come from, that's what we call it. It's called serpent speech. You know, things like Harry Potter, that sort of thing. But there's a sort of story to that. Um, Now, before I get to the bulk of it, the story goes is that sort of, you know, there is a type of, you know, snake, I guess you want to call it, or serpent, sometimes with a leg, sometimes with not, that lives where I come from. These type of serpents are incredibly rare and extremely beautiful because the scales that comprise the entire body are made up of silver, almost identical to the natural silver that grows within the earth. Now, these serpents only really come out during nighttime, and so they can be hard to see, unless if it weren't for the shine of the moon. You sort of see them. They sort of flash like steel blades at night. But what's interesting about some of that, these serpents have the uncanny ability to actually speak to you. But it speaks to, you know, more developed brains. It sounds a bit, it's a little bit unnerving, unsettling when they're speaking to you. They sort of avoid using common speech, which is what we speak. They speak a different dialect, a different language. So not too many of us actually speak it. And you can call it parcel tongue, but it sounds nothing like what it is in the movie. It can sound like any sort of language. They sort of, I don't know what's the it's almost like they use a type of like telepathic ability to sort of discern what region you're from and the language is spoken in the region. So it will use that telepathy to speak to you in a sort of broken down version of your proper language. Okay. Now the thing is that with these silver serpents, what they do in the wild is that whenever they found the prey, they will sort of, you know, speak words to it. You know, they will use the you know, the guise of the silver to sort of disarm their opponent. They're very enchanting. It's almost like a hypnotic effect. And silver, by many counts and purposes, is known as an element of purity. It is an element that can be used to sort of, you know, purge evil energies or ward off danger. However, the serpents, when they were, I don't know how they came to be, there's different theories about it. But the serpent somehow was something that I think was born of silver, or at least a imitator of silver. So it sort of gives you this false sense of security. So usually it sort of lulls you in with its glint, with its shine, with what supposedly it represents. So when you get too close, that's when it attacks you. Or if it's a bit, you know, difficult to catch you, it would then start to use sound or words. And even the gaze of its eyes sort of captivate you. Once you turn away from it, once you do what it asks you, when you go about on your way, that's when it strikes from behind and it swallows you whole. So there's usually a little thing from it. Now I did a little tiny excerpt from it. Let me see if I can find it very quickly. Oh yes. So yes, it is known as the voice of the silver serpent or moon-grain serpent. Traditionally a pure element can be silver. Traditionally a pure element can be mistaken because it's an external feature. This is pertaining to the silver glint on the serpent itself. So that particular type of, it sort of gives this, you know, like that's what you think it's silver. It's designed to sort of what's the word here? Disarm its victim and avert their gaze from the maws of the serpent. So it's not something you typically see here. There are serpents here that actually come quite close. The rainbow serpent, for one, like the rainbow constrictor, is like a beautiful specimen. I want one, but they are more beautiful in nature, and I think that's where they belong. You know, but there's that whole shindig about it. So there's that. So yeah, so it's a real thing where I come from. Here you find serpents that sort of resemble something, but they use their coats perhaps in a similar way. Um, it can be both, you know, enchanting and disarming, but it can also be a warning to her other predators with being poisonous. Some animals use a similar thing, but it's more a defense mechanism versus an actual trap. So there's that to consider. But anyway, so to get into the subject of this, the reason why I want to talk about the speechcraft is because, you know, for those of us who aren't, I guess, akin to certain types of speech, or I guess are able to sort of discern the sort of intentions behind speech, we can also become victims to it. And for those of us who are experienced in the craft, we can use it to great benefit, but it can also have great side effects and repercussions if not used correctly. And today I'm going to be showing you some examples and ways for you to sort of improve that sort of type of power. If you have it, it's not akin in everyone. People can develop a silver tongue, but it is something that, as I think, it's more sort of naturally occurring in certain individuals. You know, and I'll give you some examples later. So when we talk about the silver tongue, according to the Oxford Dictionary, it is a tendency to be eloquent and persuasive in speaking. So usually the best speakers in the world are the ones sort of capture your attention. You can't help but listen to this person. It can be perhaps the timbre in their voice. It can perhaps be the level. It could be how they speak, which matters more than what you say. And that's essentially what's essential when it comes to, receiving what is you want when it comes to the craft. If you're putting a petition out to a certain deity, or even speaking to people, the mundane or the practitioners in general, being sort of rather well equipped with this type of speech can be very beneficial to you. And according to the Collins Dictionary, it is the characteristic of being skillful at persuading people to believe what they say or to do what they want them to do. So the purpose of this silver tongue is entirely selfish. It's a mechanism designed to lure the prey into essentially becoming the victim of the speaker, but not always in a bad way. This is sort of for you to sort of achieve the benefits you want, whether it's in a working or in daily life and in conversation. And it is a skill that not too many people have, that many people sort of, don't really understand, but it is one that you would probably see in, things like players or things like playboys, things like womanizers, or you have vixens or sirens, things of that nature. Sirens have a similar nature. They have a silver tongue about them because the voices that they have can help attract what it is they want, and usually it's men as prey. So sirens definitely have a silver tongue. Those are the ones we sort of have to look out for. So we sort of have to, keep our sort of ears covered. But the most dangerous ones are the ones you don't suspect of being silver speakers. And I will get into that. Okay? So the silver tongue is a skill that is better practiced when it is used sparingly. If you're using it too much and you're not keeping up to it, not necessarily lying, but you're not keeping up on it, it can definitely backfire. And if not used properly with certain, I guess, victims you want to call it, you're going to have a pretty bad time. And sometimes, if not controlled, you can attract unwanted attention. So if you are overusing your silver speech. So it's something you have to sort of, keep in mind, okay? So let's talk about the benefits of the silver speech or the silver tongue. Okay, you can get essentially what you want by simply asking or speaking. You're invoking the silver tongue or the silver serpent within you. You can attract things like friends, objects, extensions on like payments or anything else. You can attract money towards you. People want to give you money. You can attain partners. You can have sex with the silver tongue. You can garner favors. You can even get food, etc. The list goes on and on. And this is something that's widely used across the platform. But I'm talking about it being used solely. If you can speak to something or someone and ask for something and they give it to you without you really even giving anything at all, offering up anything, you have the gift of the silver tongue. The silver tongue is also something that's used to disarm. So if you're a person that's extremely well in conversation, you can talk to anyone, garner anything, attain any sort of information. You can use it for yourself. You can use it to weaponize for later. And people just can't help but talk to you or feel free to talk about their issues to you all the time without you even meaning to, whatever. This is an effect of the silver tongue. Now, the silver tongue, it can be amplified by certain things. These things are charms, for one, drastically multiply the effects of the silver tongue, and as well as, appearances, or even things like demeanor. The more charming you come off to someone, the more likely they are to hear what you have to say. You can use your words to woo them. The more attractive you are, like putting, a worm in a pool of fish, the more likely you are to attract many more people. Because what is dangerous is when you have someone that is equally appealing to the eye as well as to the voice or to the ears. That's a very dangerous combo, but one that, if utilized correctly, can essentially get you whatever it is you want. Okay, within reason, of course. Now, the side effects from the silver tongue only occur if it backfires, and it can do so tremendously. So in order for you to use it properly, you have to use a silver tongue sparingly, but mostly when you're coupling it with honesty. Okay, the more you are honest, the less likely people are to doubt what it is you have to say. And this is sort of important when it comes to the silver tongue. The silver tongue has to be convincing. And so in order for you to be a very convincing liar, you have to tell the truth more often. So the less you lie, the more likely you are to be believed. Isn't that crazy? That's just how it goes, though. And so when you finally do lie, I did this before. I'm so bad for this. The more you, the more you tell the truth, and the less you lie. When you actually do lie, people don't even think that you're lying, that you could be lying, because you never would. You never do. That is extremely dangerous. I shouldn't even be telling you this, but it is a true thing. But it only works with people that, one, don't know your abilities, and two, are people that are genuinely, sort of intrigued by you, or that, you haven't really revealed all your cards to yet. You can lie once in a while, but if you admit to it, you show accountability, then that's fine. But the power of the silver tongue works to your benefit only. Now you can actually use it for the benefit of others as well. Let's say you're with a group of people, and let's say you want to get into a club or something like that. You can use persuasive words and language, and you have to sort of, this requires some homework, some understanding of where you are, who you're talking to. But if you will study up on it and you use your words effectively, and how you speak also matters. So when for example, if you want to get into a club or something like that, you don't say, "Let us sing, we belong here." Say, "What?" It depends on the person. Or you say, "Hi, how's it going? You look really good." So, and this is crazy, but we actually do have a pass for this club and stuff, but we kind of left it somewhere, like in the taxi. We don't know where they are. But my friend does own the place. His name is so and so, whatever it is, And so you can sort of, pick up on cues. Now, like I said, it's one on the word, but if it does, you can sort of help your group come in or whatever. So, so you would throw some compliments every now, but soft compliments. You would say, "Hi," whatever it is. You have to sort of evoke that energy. Okay, that doesn't always work, but but when it does, that's what it is. And it's sort of, for example, this is perhaps a better one. Just ignore what I said before. So let's say, for a better example, when you're speaking to someone or whatever, and it's someone that, if you want to speak to this person in casual conversation, you would say a whole bunch of words, right? So like, let's say, for example, when you are speaking to someone and in casual conversation, as let's say if it's someone that identifies with the word bitch or whatever it is, bitch can be used in any sort of way. You say, like, for example, if you're talking to someone that you know, that you're close to, and they give you some information that's surprising, you say, "Bitch," like that, right? Okay. And so like, let's say if you're talking to someone in casual fun jogging over there, you're like, "Bitch, what? Bitch, bitch," things like that or whatever. But if you say "bitch," things like that, to someone directly, in someone that you probably don't know, is sort of using eye focus, you're using sort of cues, it sort of sets off an alarm, like, is this person being confrontational? You're going to say, "Bitch." Things like that. It's how you say something. And so when you use these words in a certain rhythm, in a certain pattern, perhaps in a certain feeling or context, it helps further cement its power. So being aware of that is key. Now and the side effects, however, if not used correctly within those certain, um, structures that is within, you can garner enmity, ire, distrust, violence, sadness, even death. What you say can cost you your life. So if you're not using correctly, if you're not skilled in the silver tongue, don't even bother. It's something that should come across naturally. It should just naturally come out. Now, if you feel like you need to forcibly use it, you must do so with utmost caution. Make sure you're appealing to the eye. Make sure you have your charm turned on. Okay, make sure you are a charming individual before you decide to use this. Otherwise, it can come off very badly. You could even be a person that perhaps is not even super attractive or whatever. And maybe you don't have too much charm, but you are very honest and you are kind. And if you are truthful and kind, and let's say you speak a lot of facts, people are more inclined to listen to you. And because you're not really attractive and you're not putting on the charm, they don't see you as trying to come on to them or that you are looking for anything, so you can seem very innocent. That in itself can be very powerful to use. So you don't necessarily have to be the most attractive person or the person that's the most charming. You can be someone that's just authentically you. You can be sort of reserved. You can be polite. You can be very kind. People love kind people. They're very amicable. Some get a bit, turned off by it. But it is something that can be used to your benefit. Okay? So it's something you sort of have to work on. You can do exercises. You can sort of learn how to speak. Just try to speak to people that you sort of know, random conversations, and try some things out. Now, you need to be careful. Otherwise, you don't want to turn them off from you entirely. If you say something that's sort of offensive, just apologize immediately. You say you didn't mean to say what you said. They sort of misread the conversation. You just say you thought they meant something else, but they didn't mean anything by it. And so if you explain yourself to them in a calm way, but visibly concerned, you might be able to garner, perhaps you might be able to get a rope back in. Okay. So there are several examples of the silver tongue, even in our literature. For one example, to where it sort of backfired is The Boy Who Cried Wolf. It's a story we all know. A boy goes, into the forest. He's a prankster. He said something where he would go into the forest. He would say, "Wolf, wolf, wolf," and a whole bunch of people would come over to his rescue, whatever it is, and then he would laugh or joke around, and then they would get pissed off or whatever. He was a child, I think, too, and so he ended up lying about it. Like, it was a big joke. He did it again, and they came again, and we're like, screw this kid. This kid's just a lie. He's just an asshole. He just wants to get attention. Okay. Now the day comes when a wolf actually does show up, and when he cries wolf, no one comes, and the boy gets killed. He dies from it. He gets eaten by the wolf. So this is sort of a story to help encourage people not to lie. But what I would say is that you need to lie appropriately. He did it twice, and it worked twice. Even though they heard him lie the first time, it worked the second time. Okay? But it is sort of using it sparingly. He wanted to keep lying about it, and then when it actually did happen, he got fucked over big time. But it's his own hubris. It's his own fault for doing so. But he used it too frequently, so people were less likely to trust him. If you were to lie infrequently, people are more likely to believe you. So that when you purposefully lie, they are less likely to think that you are lying, and most likely to fall for it. Or perhaps give you something that you perhaps didn't really need, but they didn't know that. They don't have to know that. But this is something where I encourage the most morally upheld people to use this sort of skill, this sort of ability. But like I said, this is something you have to as well be aware of, because people can be using it against you as well. So you have to be aware. Okay. Now, when it's effective, it's used sparingly and with honesty. The more you are honest, the less likely people are to doubt. However, if the person has a high charisma, the level of this ability can be amplified, even if they lie more than being honest. But this may require them to seek more praise. So what I mean by this is that, for example, like let's say you can use your charisma, and let's say you're just trying to get a one night stand from let's say 100 people. You would use your silver tongue on all of them. Okay, so let's say you call this first person, you use them or whatever it is, and you want to sort of put them over to the side, and they're sort of not sure what to do or whatever. I know it's very predatory, but I'm telling you how this shit works. Okay. It's very predatory. You use your charm, you use your words to sort of get you what you want, and you do, and then you broom them. Okay, then they get sort of upset about it, and they distrust you. You then go to someone else entirely different and use the same thing on them. This requires some study, but they typically do study. A serpent will study its prey to see whether or not, one, it can swallow, and two, if it can actually take down this. You don't just go after anything you see. You go after what you can get. Okay? So that's essential to, using the tongue effectively. Because then if you can get this, and if you use your abilities, you will. Okay? And so the more you lie, and the more the sort of thing sort of, I guess, backfires, or I guess you don't care about it, this requires you to sort of use different targets. The most adept at this sort of ability have a few people they sort of use their ability on to get what they need from. This requires them to seek out less prey, and sort of gives them a ready supply of whatever they need. Now, for those of us that are victims of the certain powers of the silver tongue, keep a mental note. Study whoever this person is. If they mention things to you, and they seem to do certain things quite often, and there's certain things not, and they have a tendency to lie, figure out what it is they are asking for, that you tend to give it to them, and that you find out that they end up lying about. I mean, the thing is, you won't really know they're lying, but observe what it is that you are losing in exchange during this conversation. You can use it as a sort of way, as an indicator. So if somebody's constantly asking you for food or for money or for information or anything else like that, and you're not getting anything back or whatever, that's something that they're essentially using their abilities on you. Now, many people sort of just use the silver tongue without even being aware of it, but there are a select few that are not only selective of the ability itself, but that can use it, and they can garner so much. People that are only fans, anything else. They're giving you something, sort of. But I'm talking about people that just simply have to ask for something. Or here's a conversation, you believe them immediately, they're incredibly convincing, they have high-level charisma, and they get what they want. It's something that is, it can be hard to notice, but that's why it's a very dangerous and very effective ability. As serpents are deadly things, they use subtlety in their actions before they strike. They disarm you, they hypnotize you, they probably blend in with the surroundings. The silver serpent where I come from can look very appealing, can almost look like a sword of some kind you want to pick up, or perhaps a strange staff hewn from master artisan. It can even just look like water strewn on the stream somewhere. But if you hear strange whispers or words, or thing looks very appealing, or someone's too good to be true, as a more generally accepted and known colloquialism, it probably is. So be aware of that. So when you're using your craft, when you're, devoting anything, offering anything to a spirit deity of some kind, learn how to use it. Will they know? Yes, but will they appreciate it is the other thing. Because something that works entirely to your benefit. You could even use a silver tongue when you're telling the truth. And it also works as a multiplier. Because if you are charming, if you are honest and alluring, and you are telling the truth and facts about what you're talking about, it works tremendously. People, public speakers use it all the time, political pundits or whatever, and they can mix in a lie and misinformation in there, but you wouldn't know, would you? These are serpents in disguise. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. And whatever. I love all of you. But yes, it's something to really consider and to really study. And so what I encourage all of you to do is to sort of work on your speech. How you say something matters more than what you say, and be mindful of how you appear and how you come off as. This requires a lot of, conversational depth. And this requires a lot of understanding as to appearances and, learning how to, appear and speak to people. Believe it or not, I actually took a speech class when I was in college. And it sort of, helped me understand further the things I already knew, but, things that perhaps I didn't. And so I encourage all of you to sort of do the same thing. So you can, honestly, this can work for work. And you don't have to do anything except ask and you get it. Okay? If you're generally known as a truthful, honest person and you're giving off this feigned honesty, this feigned goodness, people will just give you things and you'll have it. Can I borrow $5? But be reasonable. Like I said before, $5 isn't a lot to certain people. Here's $5. Can I borrow $10? Someone else is like, yeah, sure. Can I borrow $50? And if it's like a millionaire, someone with loads and loads and loads, loads of money, they're like, sure, whatever. It means nothing to them. That's why studying your prey is important. If you're asking someone who's hard on money for any money at all, they're less likely to give it to you. So the facade, the spell won't work. But if you do it to someone who has lots of money, who isn't worried about it, just treats money like it's expendable, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. So you can get it. Okay, it's a treasure trove. It's a chest with legs. That's what it is. It's a walking bank account. So I know it's a very toxic episode, very whatever, but it is very true. And people don't think about that. So when you're working with spirits, maybe a bit risky with spirits, but let's say try to use it. Like I said, I work with living spirits. I work with more people because it's a lot more practical. It's more accessible to me, and it's something that I understand, things that I know. So I would use this sort of ability, sometimes not even trying to, but when I do, I usually come with success. But it's learning when to use it that matters. So, without further more delay, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I urge all of you to sort of tune in for that special interview I'm going to be doing rather soon. I don't have a set date, but it's going to be happening perhaps within a month or even less. So, I'm very excited about it. Will we be doing it here? Hopefully. But if not, I will be either in my witch wagon or perhaps somewhere else entirely. So I urge all of you to, practice safety, whether it's sex or magic, to keep up on your studies, to read the books from rather very well prolific authors. Whether it's fantasy or not, it helps give you some inspiration for your craft, for your workings. Be diligent in what you do, not only with intention, but with knowledge as well. Learn to use certain objects that give you a certain effect, things like herbs, things like mushrooms, anything matter, even things like stones or rocks. Study them, apply them in practical ways that will sort of help, like if they're good for something, use that thing, what they're good at, for the working that you're doing. And it'll, turn out very well for you. Okay. If you want something sweet, you use sugar, you don't use salt. Things like that. Okay. Make sure that you are, keeping up on your studies. Make sure that, you are treating others with respect, that you are, treating them the way they should be treated, the way they deserve to be treated. But also, to sort of lend yourself some credibility, I guess an air of nobility. Tend to, dish out your hatred or your vileness a bit late. Be slow to anger, but not to assert your sovereignty. Never lose your composure easily. Okay? And I encourage all of you to, make sure, to to be kind, rewind, reassess, and practice in excess greatness. I am your host, Lianak, with my co-host, Grimmy, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everyone. And please don't be stupid. There's enough of that out there.